Green Bay Packers are moving on from quarterback Jaire Alexander as they are set to release him today. We have a brand new Nick Chubb update. How do these two NFL news stories impact the Chicago Bears? We're going to tell you on today's episode of Bears Now by Chat Sports. My name is Harrison Graham. Hope everybody had a fantastic weekend. Happy Monday, everybody. Let's get to the news of the day. The Packers are cutting Jaire Alexander after 7 seasons with the team and after really a months-long internal battle. What are we going to do with them? Are we going to trade? Are we going to keep them? And they ultimately are moving on. They are going to cut him here as it's going to be a clean break between the two parties, which is good news for the Bears because when he's healthy, he's obviously a very, very good player. Light up the comments. Get the FGBs going. Adios, Jaire Alexander. Although I do kind of have a weird feeling that the Vikings are going to sign him, but we'll see if that ends up coming to fruition. I do think Green Bay mismanaged this situation because toward the end of the season and as the season ended, all the reporting suggested that they were going to move on, that they were going to trade him and so on and so forth. And obviously he had a tricky contract, injuries that have been an issue recently, and here we are 4 or 5 months later, and they end up just cutting him, a player who's obviously still very, very good when he is healthy. And I think Jordan Schultz with this report today that the Packers and Bills had trade talks earlier this offseason, but talks ultimately fell through and Buffalo moved on. He also mentioned that they drafted Maxwell Hairston, so the Bills were definitely interested in making a move here. I think Green Bay missed the window of opportunity to trade Jaire Alexander. I'm guessing that they did not get the trade offers that they thought they would get for a guy with all-pro status. And I'm not surprised they didn't get great offers because he's been injured a ton. He's only played in 7 or less games in 3 of the last 4 years. He's had a ton of injuries, and I think they could have moved him for, a late-round pick or something like that before the draft. But I think once the draft came and went, they held out. They hoped they'd get a bigger offer or maybe find a way to keep him. That just became difficult, and they could not get a deal done. And so now you look at Green Bay, who's trying to be in the mix in the NFC North, as are the Bears, the Vikings, and the Lions, obviously. It's a pretty bad cornerback room, man. I mean, you got Nate Hobbs, you got Kalen King, Keyshawn Nixon. I think Hobbs or Nixon will play nickel. Nixon's not a very good outside corner. I think this is one of the worst cornerback rooms in the NFL. Like, to me, Nixon and Hobbs are CB3 types, and they're your best 2 guys. Kalen King is not a starting caliber player, in my opinion. That's a pretty rough room. And when you pair that with, I think, kind of an average pass rush, obviously, they've got Rashawn Gary. Devontae Wyatt at defensive tackle is pretty solid, but they don't have that kind of dominant guy. Like Gary's kind of like Montez Sweat. Like, ideally, he'd be your second guy. So you average, above average at best, defensive line, bad cornerback room, good safeties, decent linebackers. But I think that Packers defense could be in real trouble. Jeff Hafley did a good job, so that's very good news for the Bears, especially with the passing offense that's looking to take off this year in year 2 of Caleb Williams with Ben Johnson. So I'm definitely excited about that. Now, I know Bears fans and a couple have already DM'd me. Any interest in Jaire? Could the Bears potentially sign him? I mean, you never say never. I would be surprised. The Bears do have a lot of depth at corner. Now, look, make no mistake. If Jaire Alexander is healthy, him and Jalen Johnson, that becomes what? The best CB duo in the NFL? I'm not going to sell you on Tyreek Stevenson, Terrell Smith, Zay Frazier, whoever the other outside corner is going to be as a better player than Jaire. But just circling back to the injury concerns, he's missed a ton of games. He's missed, 20 games the past 2 years, and he missed 13 games in 2021 and then 1 game in 22. He's missed 34 games the last 4 years. That's a absolute ton of games missed. I just don't think, considering the Bears do have options there, considering his injury history, I'd be pretty surprised if they're interested. Like, if you're going to make a splash type of move, now, I don't think it would cost a ton because he's still making some money from Green Bay, I think. And with the injuries, I mean, maybe it's like 5-6 million guaranteed with like incentives to double that given playing time. So it wouldn't break the bank for you, but I just think you have bigger needs here. Like, go get a pass rusher. If you want to bring in a running back, do that. Hell, a depth linebacker. Again, I'm not saying Jaire wouldn't be an upgrade over Tyreek, but I think they're still invested in Tyreek. They've got Terrell Smith and Zay Frazier in the mix as well. Jaire's had a lot of injuries. I just don't think that's a path that Chicago is going to go down. But it's still significant news in the division, and that leaves the Packers pretty thin at corner. And by the way, they didn't draft a corner until the 7th round. That's mismanagement by Green Bay, in my opinion. All right, subscribe and join us. We'll be back live on the channel this afternoon, 4 o'clock Central Time. So be sure to turn on those notifications so you know exactly when we go live. To turn on notifications, you got to be subscribed. So subscribe first, hit the notification bell second, select all. That way you know exactly when we go live. Okay, coming up next, Nick Chubb appears to be off of the free agent market. Not official as we're filming this, but it sounds like it could be soon as the Bears, at least on the outside, have been linked to Chubb at points this offseason. Before we get to that story, though, Caleb Williams jersey still available for just $100. Awesome deal. We've sold 10, 15 of these last time I checked. Still a few available. Get yours today, chatsports.com/Caleb jersey. $100 right now. It can be yours. Okay, Nick Chubb to the Texans. Sounds like this is just kind of a formality at this point, as he is in Houston today, and if he passes a physical, they are going to sign him. Now, Diana Rossini had an interesting angle on this, and been a rough offseason for Diana, so who knows how accurate this is, but she added that Chubb received more lucrative offers from other teams, but could sign a more incentive-laden contract to join Joe Mixon in Houston's backfield. Now, I'm not saying she's off on Chubb signing with Houston. Like, everybody's got that. It's just a matter of putting pen to paper and passing a physical. I don't get the sense, though, per Diana's report, that the Bears were one of those teams in on Nick Chubb. There was just no real reporting on it, right? There were rumors, there were chatter. I think teams, and, I mentioned it as a possibility, insiders mentioned the Bears as a team that could make sense, because we know how hard they tried to get a running back earlier in the draft, but there was never a visit. There was never a report of they're very interested in Nick Chubb, just kind of connecting dots of, they could be, because they've got DeAndre Swift and a lot of question marks. But I don't get the sense that the Bears were heavily interested here. Some other free agent running backs available for those still wondering. J.K. Dobbins, he did visit with Denver last week. We'll see if something comes to fruition there. Gus Edwards, Jamal Williams. Williams, a player that had a huge season with Ben Johnson back in 2022 in Detroit. Cam Akers, Deontay Foreman, our old friend, still out there as well. Do any of these guys really move the needle? I mean, Dobbins is interesting, obviously. He had a pretty good year last year. Veteran guy, knows how to play. Does have an extensive injury history, but if healthy, definitely elevates the floor of this room, no doubt about it. I do kind of just wonder, are the Bears just content? Do they just like what they have? I do think they're content enough, and I've said this for weeks now, that they're just going to roll into training camp with this group. I think they like DeAndre Swift. They've spoken glowingly about him, and I think they're intrigued by Roschon Johnson and Kyle Monangai. Sounds like Monangai had a good mandatory minicamp. He'll be in the building this week for the final week of OTAs as young guys are sticking around. I do think if the Bears are going to add a running back, it'll either be via a surprise cut or maybe a trade, right? And we might do a video on live today, do a segment kind of exploring some different trade options. I tweeted out a list of potential guys that could be available on the trade market that I kind of tiered them out, starting with James Cook at the top all the way down to rotation guys like Dameon Pierce in Houston now. He's probably going to be available because they have Joe Mixon. Assuming they sign Nick Chubb, they drafted Woody Marks. Dameon Pierce, RB4, probably not. They're probably just going to cut or trade him. So he could be a name that the Bears could consider as well. Will the Bears add a running back before week 1? What do you think? Type Y for yes, they will. N for no, they won't. I still think it's 50-50. I think it's definitely a possibility, but I don't think they view it as such a glaring need that they are going to force the issue, at least not right now. Keep an eye on training camp. preseason game or two goes by, surprise cut somewhere, trade candidate springs loose amidst contract issues or just overcrowded backfields, there's always guys that become available. So we will definitely monitor those situations. All right, good to be back in the studio. Appreciate everybody for tuning in to this episode. We will be back live this afternoon at 4 o'clock Central Time, so be sure to subscribe and join us for that. My name is Harrison Graham. We'll see you then. Bear down.